Hello and welcome to another episode of God-Sized Stories. I'm very blessed. I have Peter with me this week. Peter, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name's Peter Hongisto. I am the brother and son of alums of the podcast. Brother Andy, Nick, and Diane are my parents. I am a videographer and editor living in Chicago. I've been in the city for 11 years now, 11 years in September. I work at a small commercial agency doing commercials and like social media type of work, and amongst other smatterings of things that get thrown my way. So, yeah.
Well, there's a handful of things I want to talk about today with you. The first thing I actually want to talk about is loop back to one of the things you said in your intro of you've been in the city, you said, for 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I know approximately the areas you grew up, more small town, suburb-ish type areas. How was that transition from moving from that to then Chicago, which is a really busy city?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, I don't know. Overall, I don't think it was bad. I think I was kind of prepared for it. So I moved when I was about halfway through college. I went to community college out where we grew up, and it was a 30-minute drive through straight cornfields to go to school. And you oftentimes get stuck behind tractors during like harvest season, and then to switch to transferring to a college here in the city. And instead of driving everywhere, I was taking the red line or the brown line and getting stuck in Cubs Day game traffic with a bunch of tourists, going up to Wrigley. And so it's definitely a change. But I think one thing that kind of helped is, being in school and being focused on school and managing that transition to kind of like pursuing my degree full time was something to keep my mind on it. And I had some good goofy roommates that I fell in with, which helped. We're all kind of navigating the city for the first time together, so it helped a bit. And it's the time's gone fast. I feel like I have so many memories growing up out west of the city in northern Illinois, and then it seems so weird that all those memories were formed in about like 5 or 6 years, which is half the time I've been here already. So it's kind of nutty.
Well, all the power to you and all the people with you in the city, because I couldn't do it. I even being in the suburbs now, I'm like, oh, this is too many people in the cornfields.
Yeah. There's definitely times where I miss just kind of being closer to nature. That's one thing my wife and I both struggle with, because she's from an even smaller town than where I grew up. And so there's definitely times where we kind of just want to be like out in trees and out in nature and not be walking on concrete 24/7.
Yeah. Oof. Well, let's transition then into let me hear a little bit more about what you were doing. You're saying you kind of work with video and film for a company. Give the audience and myself a little bit more what that looks like.
Yeah, so it's basically what I do. I'm at a smaller agency, so I kind of will work on everything from kind of like prepping a project. I only do a little bit of that, but then primarily I'm filming and doing a lot of editing. So then taking all the footage and cutting it together, and kind of like delivering the final product to whoever the client might be. So it's kind of nice in a larger like agency or creative production company setting. You'd likely be doing like one thing only. So you'd probably just have like a camera operator who hands it off to then an editor, who then goes to a sound designer and a colorist and all those things. But since we're smaller, we're able to kind of put our fingerprints on every aspect of it, which helps us to get, in my opinion, like a more rounded view of the things we're working on. So I've been traveling quite a lot all over the country and, gathering footage from all different places, and then we take it back here to the city and cut it all together. And it's nice to see like the start of the project to the end of the project. And it, for me at least, I feel like it makes it better, because as I'm filming, I know what I'm going to edit. And as I'm editing, I can look back at the footage and know that I got this or that, and I can string it together a lot easier. So for the day-to-day, that's pretty much what I'll be doing.
Nice. What's some of the like craziest places slash things you've gone to go take video of?
It's been quite a lot. We've partnered with other agencies who do a lot of sports marketing.
Hmm.
So I was just in LA this past February for the Super Bowl. The weekend after that, I was in Daytona for the Daytona 500 NASCAR race.
Now
And
you're making me jealous.
yeah, yeah, I mean, you're one of the few people I know who actually someone follows NASCAR, and we've been going to tons of races and
Oh,
last year and this year. So yeah, there's that, and then we'll work with some not so much like entertainment people, but again, lots of sports and some kind of like celebrity-ish people, lots of social media influencers who are alternately really great people and challenging to work with. So uh, yeah, it really can be totally unpredictable. So right now we're prepping for a project in Charlotte with two NASCAR drivers, and it's shaping up to be a pretty beefy kind of like car chase sequence that we're trying to accomplish. So that's one that takes a lot of prep work.
sure. Wow.
Mhm.
So all this stuff, because like I joke about this all the time with the podcast. When I came into doing this stuff, I knew nothing, and now 3 years later, I know like nothing. Still, and so obviously, video stuff is infinitely more because that's you're taking video, you're taking audio, you're cutting stuff, all these things that you're saying. That takes a lot, and it's like obviously you went to school for that, but it takes more than just school knowledge to do this stuff. It has to come from a passion. Where did all that passion begin?
Definitely when I was a kid, the very first like instance where I realized that like video and film had, I don't know, a lot of like power to it was
Hmm.
way back when we were kids. As you can attest, my brother Andy is big into action figures, and even more so when he was younger. And we
I
always
don't
be
know
like
about that. He might be more so now.
yeah, that's true. um, yeah, we would be making like scenarios and having all our action figures like fight and come up with these elaborate situations. And my dad one day was like, there's a thing with video you can do where you can actually make it look like they're moving, and we were like just totally taken aback. So then he showed us stop motion animation where you do a small movement, take a frame, do a small movement, take a frame, and then we saw that played back. It was like, wow, we can make like all the stuff that we imagine happening actually happen. Of course we couldn't because it's very complicated and like we just created like abominations, but that was the first time where I really realized that like you can create anything you can imagine, you can pretty much create, with the right skill and time and all that kind of stuff. So kind of just snowballed from there. And my generation was, I feel like, one of the first to have access to like online video platforms, like when YouTube first started, and
Mm-hmm.
even Google Video before that. So that just helped kind of catalyze my interest in it. And yeah, me and my friends would make a bunch of goofy videos, and as you know, like rope everyone in that we could find and
Yep.
try and do cooler and cooler things each time. And I feel like I just never grew out of that interest, and then realized I could try and make a career out of it. And yeah, just ran after it after that.
Nice. I know as well too. Besides, like, I know you take great pride in the work that you do in the sense of this thing, but I know as well you have personal projects that you've worked on. I know I've been blessed to have the honor of helping you make some. I had the distinct honor of playing a crazy person in a Christmas one once.
Mhm.
What's the heart behind those? Like, tell the audience why you love that so much.
Yeah, that's, I think, like more than in a career sense, that was what got me interested in it, was just wanting to uh, come up with stories and then kind of like commit them to film. And even beyond that, as I started doing it more, the kind of the best part of it was showing it to an audience and seeing how other people reacted, and just kind of having that sort of sense of community. And even for like those of us who are making them, it's just a fun time. Usually, sometimes it's terrible. Usually a fun time to make them, and then we always got good bloopers out of them. And it's as we've gotten older, it's been like a really fun way to kind of archive and chronicle like our growing up years. Like when the pandemic started, I put together all the old clips I could find of us, and we all like joined on a Zoom call and watched several hours of like old videos we made, and just realized all the goofy stuff we've done and how young we were, and so it's been great for that too. So yeah, and then as I've gotten older, I've just tried to make things and kind of yeah, do fun projects, and especially the like Christmas specials like you mentioned. That was largely my cousin's instigation, who shares a intense passion for dated Christmas specials. And we just one year were like, yeah, we've been talking about it, let's just do it. And since then it's become an almost yearly tradition. And yeah, you in the last one you had a quite a breakout role.
That was too fun.
Yeah, turned out good.
So now you're as well, you're at an intersection of life too, where you have this thing you're extremely passionate for, and as well another thing you're extremely passionate for, your faith. How do you kind of combine your faith and your ability to use all these skills and talents?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's on more like practical side. I help do like the technical production at my church. So the church I go to, the location we're at, we meet in a school building. So we're not allowed to like store things there. So everything for the Sunday service comes in on a truck. So we have to be there early in the morning, unload the truck and get things where they need to go. And it takes a decent amount of like time and effort, and a moderate amount of like technical knowledge to know how to rig things up and set everything, and get the musicians ready and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the most like practical application of using those sorts of things. And yeah, it's on like a creative kind of like more personal level. It's always been a bit of a challenge to like know how to infuse or incorporate my faith into like creative works, because it's not, unfortunately, a lot of like creative fields aren't the most receptive to any sort of religion, but Christianity for sure. And so it's definitely an ongoing challenge to kind of put those together and do so in a way that doesn't, to me, like personally, doesn't feel like I'm drawing too much of a not like a target on my back, but to do something that resonates with non-believers as well as believers. And so it's always been a challenge to do that. And so for my personal work, I try and keep everything relatively like clean and nothing too objectionable content wise, but still have interesting conflict to engage people. So yeah, so it's definitely, I think that's just a lifelong thing of probably any creative, of knowing how much of themselves to like put in their work and also be like marketable. And
yeah, it's hard to, especially like to be a man and stand in that gap, as you're kind of saying, and just be faithful, but be, as Paul would also say, to like be in the world, not of the world kind of thing. Is like you need to be with these people. If you're just if the only thing you ever want to make are like some of those really cheesy 90s Christian films, you might not be able to reach some of the same people. Like you won't be able to go and be Peter with the people at work, because they're going to be like, that's all this guy wants to do. Like, no, Peter, we got to do this. We got to get these cars.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, similarly, like you were talking about, Paul, like everything, we're supposed to treat every aspect of our lives as a mission field. And so
absolutely,
yeah, it's always and I'm sure it is for every believer, a challenge to like to walk that line well of being in certain communities and still like be representative of their faith. And yeah, that's just a lifelong battle.
And I definitely do want to shout out for you for the more practical stuff you were saying, is because I feel like often in church settings that can be overlooked. It's like one of the things that it's like people in tech, everyone knows they're doing their job when nothing is wrong, kind of thing. It's like as soon as the tiniest thing goes wrong, everyone's like turning
Yeah.
around, looking, and they're freaking out, like, and it's like the tiniest little thing, and it's like, and it's like,
Yeah.
as you said, the skill and the knowledge, because that there's no way in the world they would trust me to try to figure out which of these things goes where, and without messing something up or breaking something, be like, let the experts do it.
Mhm.
They know what they're doing. So I'm always extremely thankful. Like, there's often times at church that they'll ask me to do like announcements and stuff, and they'll be like, just take this microphone, we'll handle everything else, we'll turn it on when it needs to be on. And I'm like, really? I'm like, cool. Just I'll mess it up. I'll go up there and I'll probably fiddle it and then drop it and be like, I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about that, because there's people way smarter at that stuff than me, and I've been blessed by that. Or like, as I was sharing with you earlier, and I've shared with so many others in the past, I am not a tech-minded person between video, audio, all this stuff. So it made no sense that I would start a podcast a while ago. But
Mhm.
where I lack, the Lord has blessed me with friends and brothers and sisters that know this stuff and can give me advice and can just pour into me for ways that'll benefit the audience and the kingdom. And it's like, oh, without people that with that knowledge, with that heart to share their knowledge, we'd be in a very boring world, a very colorless world.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a like a team effort sort of thing. Anything like any sort of aspect of being a believer, it's all about being in the community, being strengthened by the community, and that like that extends to the technical things like production and stuff. And yeah, yeah, I've had, like you're saying, when something goes wrong, it's people notice, and I've had plenty of times where I've been doing the production and like one of our microphones stops working, and you got to saunter down the aisle and hand the microphone up to the pastor and walk back. And but it's just part.
How dare
Yeah,
you? I don't control the batteries. Sorry.
yeah. So, but it's all right. I feel like at least in a church setting, it's a little more like everyone kind of knows it's
Yeah,
yeah.
typical.
You're not at like a concert you paid $50 to go to.
Yeah, right. That'd be a lot worse.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
well, Peter, is there anything upcoming that you might have, any projects you're thinking that maybe you want to share, or maybe ask the audience to pray for, or that even more so, any place that you would want to send people to go see some things you've done in the past that you're really proud of?
Yeah, I don't have anything going on right now. I've kind of taken like a bit of a break from most creative projects. I feel like I just and have gotten a lot busier with work, and my wife and I just started training to run the Chicago Marathon. So that's gonna
Oh,
eat up a lot of time. Um, but yeah, I have a Vimeo. If you just search my name, Peter Hongisto, it's a weird enough name that I pop up. Same with Instagram. It's just Instagram/Peter Hongisto, where I have links to stuff I've done, as well as like the photography work that I've been getting into more.
sure.
Um, so yeah, and I'm around. I've done a lot of freelance projects for people, so I'm around for that as well, yourself included.
Yeah. Well, Peter, thank you so much for spending this time with me, for spending time with the audience, and more importantly, for using your gifts and talents. Because that's always the thing that makes me really happy, is when I see people that are passionate about their gift, their talent, their abilities, and they just use them to the best of their ability. Even when, as you said, like, even if it's just at your everyday job, that it's not the most obviously Christian thing. And hindsight, you're working hard for the kingdom just by working hard, and that just brings me joy. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for the laughs I've had from the things you've produced and filmed, because they're always good. They're always great. And thank you for being a friend,
Yeah,
and all those things.
yeah.
And audience, thank you so much as always for listening. I couldn't do this without you. Goodbye.